Hi, singers. Runs are a struggle for so many singers, but there are lots of great strategies for making them more manageable, and I'm going to show you a few of my favorites tonight. Now, for an example of a piece of music that might present some run challenges, I am going to be sharing with you something I've been practicing. This is one of the Handel Italian duets. It's called No di voi non vo fidarmi, and it shares a melody with For Unto Us a Child is Born. So that is something that many of you have experienced probably every Christmas as a gift that comes back each year. And here is the first iteration in my part of that run. You know the one that I'm talking about. Bum, 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 and on in perpetuity. Now, when you're working on a run, here is how I would suggest you begin. Make a commitment to not look at this run as an endless stream of 16th notes. I want you to just start out by organizing it visually into some smaller building blocks. And what you're doing here is, this is a great time to pull out your pencil and your score and just use your eyes. Look for a pattern. So on this run, what I see is that there is an 8-note little grouping that seems to sort of twist around on itself, and then there's a jump down of a third, and something similar but not exactly the same happens here. Now, in this group of 8, it's the same as the very first group of 8, although at a different pitch level. And then here, 8 more notes that are the same as the second set of 8. So what I'm finding out here is that there is a pattern, and the individual block, there are sort of 2 choices. I can either think of it as the individual block being 16 16th notes, 4 groups of 4, but to my ear, it really sounds more like 2 groups of 8, almost a statement and a responding statement. So we've got this, this pattern here of the first group of 8, and then the response. First pattern, second. And you can not only begin to see what the actual units are, but then how they relate to one another. Now this is where we move into the second step, but before I do that, I do want to say what I just did was kind of breezing through. If this was not a run with which I was so familiar, and I wasn't trying to just compress the process into a quick video for you, I would not go so fast. So if this takes you a while to figure out how big is the building block, exactly how does the pattern repeat itself, it might take a little while, and that is just fine. But do take the time, figure out, is it a 6-note pattern, is it an 8-note pattern, and then how does the pattern get arranged into the run as a whole. Now what we've done is we've sort of gone from looking at this endless stream of 16th notes without any form into seeing almost like Legos. We've got little blocks here and little blocks there, and we're going to move to the second step, which is figuring out what is the relationship. So here you can see I have got 8 notes here that are sort of circling around this B. And then I'm going to have a little group that's circling around a G. Now C. So we're going to go one step higher, half a step higher, than the very first one. And then jump down the third. But now I know I'm going to go another step higher, because that's how this kind of A section moves, is it goes up a step, down a third, up a step from where we started, then a third, up another step, and down a third, and so on and so forth. So once I've figured out not only what the blocks are, how they're arranged, I am going to start singing with just the first note of each block. So if I was singing from bar 7 there, I would begin practicing this as No di voi non vo fido. And that's how I would go. So what have I been singing? each of the first of each group of 8. B, G, C, A, D, B, E. And then here the pattern's broken. F sharp. So now I figured out exactly what's happening there, and I can start to really think in terms of the rhythm. How is my part going to line up with what's happening in the bass, in the other voice parts? And I feel like I actually have some sort of rhythmic handholds to know where I'm going as the piece progresses. So now what I might want to do is add an extra note. Not all of them yet. I'm not going to start adding the other 7, but maybe I'll add a halfway one, especially since this tends to kind of group itself neatly into even numbers. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Why don't I try that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sing the same thing, and instead of singing the first of every group of 8, I'm going to sing the first of every group of 4. And what you'll find out soon is that they're actually the same pitch. I'll be pulsing. Okay, so now I'm going at a pretty good clip. Maybe I don't need to go so fast. What I can do at this point is begin to fill in the other notes, but I have already imprinted on my mind the hierarchy that the first note of each group, each block, is going to be number 1 priority. Then maybe some other structural notes are important, but the sort of noodly stuff around them, that is really less important, and I don't want to give it as much mental weight. I don't want to give it as much vocal weight either. So if I were figuring out now, let's just say I was in some alternate universe where I'd never heard For Unto Us, and I was just trying to figure out how this pattern goes. I know that I'm building my first group of 8 around B, so, and I can see that I'm going to sort of noodle around it. I'm just going to work on getting a little bit of vocal facility on that little module. Okay, that seems to be going okay. So now why don't I add the next group of 8? I'm going to go slow again. Ooh, that one's in a tougher place for me vocally. I'm going to have to really work to keep that high and forward in the mouth. It's good that I'm finding it out when I'm just working on it in this little magnifying glass kind of moment, instead of just getting bogged down in the middle of the run as a whole. So, okay, that feels all right. I'm going to tack it onto the first one. That's working pretty well. Now I already know that the next group is going to be my bop, 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 bop group. So, I don't even need to look at the individual notes unless something is going to change. And that's how I can begin to proceed through this whole run. That's how I would begin. I hope that this information is useful to you. Let me know if you'd like some more tips and tricks on how to actually do this singing of runs. I've got lots of great ideas for you, so just let me know. Thanks for practicing.